Sports Illustrated is reporting that Andre Drummond will opt in next year for the Cleveland Cavaliers into around the $28 million player option. Let's talk about it. We back. Mercy Sports Talk. We in the building. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, bell icon button, share the video. Appreciate the love, support. Best way to donate to the channel is share the video, but Cash App, PayPal are in the description. And don't forget, check out my other channel for more sports, music, news, entertainment over at Goodfellas Sports TV right here on YouTube. Excuse me. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why the Pistons got rid of Andre Drummond for the cheap. All right, they feared, and it was a report a couple of days before Thursday trade deadline. And I talked about it. They feared that Drummond was going to opt in, and they did not want to pay Drummond $28 million. That would have messed up their cap. So, with people, people not understanding what the Pistons did by trading out Andre Drummond for a second-round pick, Brandon Knight and John Henson to the Cavaliers, they cleared cap space for next year. But here we go right here, Sam and Miko. Andre Drummond is expected to pick up an option on the contract at the end of the season, and while he will let things play out, views Cavs as long-term opportunity, sources tell SI Now, had other teams knew that Drummond basically had one more year, then the Pistons probably would have got more for Andre Drummond than they did, or maybe the offers were the same because nobody wanted to pay Drummond $30 million. But the fear was that Drummond was going to be a half-season rental, and for teams that weren't really in the championship race, unlike Boston, unlike Houston, unlike the Lakers and the Clippers, teams that really didn't have a strong shot at making the playoffs didn't fear that Drummond would be half a season and done. That's why the Pistons, had trouble really moving Andre Drummond. They were a day late, $1 short. He should have been traded along with Blake Griffin at last year's trade deadline, and the Pistons would have got significant compensation towards their rebuild. And it also would have put the rebuild for the Pistons 1 year ahead of schedule. But the Pistons sold them for so cheap is because they feared and they knew Andre Drummond was going to opt in, knowing that the Pistons, it wasn't a market for him. Knowing that teams were not going to pay him a supermax contract or pay him $30 million, he knows that. The reason why Drummond opted in with the Cleveland Cavaliers and he was going to opt in if he stayed with the Detroit Pistons is because the Pistons pretty much felt the market for Drummond. There was no market for Drummond to get a supermax deal. And his agent had him thinking this past offseason, when he said he can't wait to be a free agent and opt out, he had him thinking that Drummond was a supermax player. Seeing, some of these younger guys get a regular max like Jaylen Brown, Buddy Hield, he said, well, they ain't never made an all-star game. You have made 2, and you should easily get a supermax deal. So they miscalculated the market for Andre Drummond. Now Drummond knows that he ain't going to get that money nowhere. Because when you trade it to a team, they can exceed the salary cap and pay you whatever. Rather being a free agent, where if they don't have a cap space for you, then they can't pick you up. So whoever traded for him, they could pay him whatever they wanted to pay him, and they might have to go into the luxury tax, which is a steep penalty for that. But teams had their thoughts about Andre Drummond. They had their issues. He's soft. They said that he doesn't play with that energy on a consistent level. People feel that he has some mental issues and he just wasn't consistent. But the thing about being consistent is when you're on a bad team, it's hard to bring it every night. It's hard to go out there and give it effort, knowing that if I go out there and get 30 and 20, 50 and 50, we still gonna lose. You put Drummond in the right situation with a Kawhi and a Paul George, around with a coach with Doc Rivers, you don't get the most out of Andre Drummond. You may see him average almost 20 and 20 in the right situation. Because when you win it feels better. When you at the top, it feels better. When you in a bottom feeder, that affects you. When you in a negative situation, when you're in a toxic situation, depending at work or at home, that affects your mood. You know what I'm saying? And I think the NBA miscalculated that. You put Drummond in a championship situation, or you put him in a winning situation, you may get a top 5 big man. You know what I'm saying? You got a guy in today's NBA where it's so isolated, it's such ISO dominated, you know, and you got a guy that can get it without, you know, and be effective without touching the ball. You know, there's a lot of value there that the NBA is overlooking. They looking at him in this Detroit situation saying, oh, this is the best Drummond gonna get. You see it with the Lions all the time. You see it with the Pistons. You know, guys leave and get into a better organization and they blossom. Calvin Noy, Cliff Averill, you know, Langston Tomlinson. Sometimes it's about the coaching and the organization can be so toxic that it can, you know, oppress a guy or a talent like Andre Drummond. It can oppress a talent like Matthew Stafford. You know what I'm saying? It can oppress a talent like Calvin Johnson. You know, but they don't think of it that way. They think this is Drummond. But if you put Drummond in the right situation, you know, you might get a beast. But he went through the same situation with the Cleveland Cavaliers, so they won't know. But with people not understanding about the deal, they looking at it. Brandon Knight, John Henson. I don't get it. That's for cap. They contracts expire this year, so the Pistons are going to get like almost around $30 million in cap space. With Reggie rolling off, that's another $18 million. And eventually they have to rehabilitate Blake, and hopefully he get healthy next year, and they can move him. If not, he got two more seasons after this year, and when his contract expires in a couple seasons, then his contract is going to be attractive to another team, hurt or not hurt. You know what I'm saying? So the rebuild is on. You know, but with Andre Drummond, they knew he was going to opt in, but had other teams knew Drummond was going to opt in, the Clippers, you know, the Hawks or Boston, if they knew Drummond was going to opt in with the Pistons, I wonder would that have changed them putting in a first-round draft pick. I think Drummond hurt himself by not committing and letting other teams knowing that he was going to opt in. Now, obviously, you know, it's a handshake agreement. It's something that he can't really determine until the offseason. He can change his mind, but if teams truly believe that Drummond was going to opt in, he really hurt the compensation the Pistons could have got for him. That really hurt. And it also hurt his chances to go somewhere and prove that he the Don Donna, he the Honcho, he the Hookahana, he the HNIC. It hurt his chances of going to a situation where he can blossom. It hurt him going to Boston. But then again, you have the question on the other flip side: did teams want to pay him $28 million next year and possibly go into the luxury tax, or did people feel that his value was that high? But you see, teams would rather just stick with what they got. The Clippers, they're gonna stick with Zubac and Hero. That may kill him. Going against McGee, Howard, and Davis and Jokic, and you know, you never know, Hassan Whiteside, Nurkic. You know what I'm saying? That may hurt him. Boston said, well, hey, we'll deal with Joel Embiid and Al Horford when we got to. We'll deal with Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka when we got to. You know, we'll deal with Miles Turner and Sabonis when we got to deal with them. And that can come back to bite them in the behind, because one injury can change the landscape of the NBA. It's only a handful of teams that got a chance to win a championship. Now, has it expanded this season? Yes. You got Denver, you got the LA teams, Clippers, and the Lakers. You know, those are probably the three teams out west that's probably going to come out. The Jazz are up there. And then in the East, you got Milwaukee, Sixers, Heat, Toronto. You know what I'm saying? You got those four. So it's kind of expanded. Usually through the seasons, you know, it's probably 2 or 3 teams, 4 teams at the most that's probably going to make it. This year, you got 8. So the NBA is improving on its parity. And I guarantee you, had Drummond went to Boston, you know, had he went to the Clippers, that probably would have solidified if it would have worked. But I think if you would have put him in the right situation, around winners, around championship caliber coaches and great organizations that knew what they knew what they wanted to do and how to utilize him, Drummond would have went somewhere and he would have shifted the power, you know, for NBA team. You know what I'm saying? But small ball is in. You know, Drummond's position is becoming extinct. That prehistoric 5, you know, with the back, even though he don't play with his back to the basket, but it's becoming extinct. You know, it's not cool no more. And I never would have thought 20 years ago, 30 years ago, watching the NBA of Hakeem and Ralph Sampson when he was healthy, Patrick Ewing, you know, even lower level guys like Rick Smith, Dale Davis, Antonio Davis, you know, guys of that nature, Eldon Campbell, Lottie Divac, that the big man would become extinct. And it will be a guards game like it's the NCAA tournament. But, hey, it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think. I'll link that tweet source in the description under source link. Don't forget, we on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can reach out to the email if you have a business question, inquiry, sponsorship, video request. Keep sharing the videos. Want to make a donation to the channel? The information is in the description. Cash App, PayPal. Best way to donate is share the video and check out my other channel, Goodfellas Sports TV, right here on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button over there and share that channel one time for the one time. Motor City Sports Talk. It's your boy CJ Goodfellas. We gone.